Here we go. Hi, everybody. Darryl here from Birch Bay Ranch, the executive director of Birch Bay Ranch. Thought I'd give you an update on how we are doing here. We've had things happen, I guess. So I said in previous videos that I'd do more of these so you know what's going on here, since we're not allowed to see people very much. So I just want to start off by thanking people for their support. I want to, all the prayers that people are praying for us, thank you. Please keep it up. The people who have been able to give financially, we've had big donors, we've had people giving what they can, and thank you very, very much. We really appreciate that. It's what's getting us through. Since we've lost a lot of our revenue. And we're not alone. The camps are hurting big time throughout Canada. My wife just put on it's called Gather Town conference for camps across Canada. She had just under 300 people participate, and it was all online. Everybody got a little avatar, and they would go to sessions, and their little avatar would go across the screen and go to sessions and talk to people. As soon as you got close to somebody, you can join their conversation or at least hear their conversation. It was really good for considering that what we have to deal with since we're not allowed to get together. But she did a great job. She did a really good job. So that was kind of fun. We were still able to get together visually and still run into people, little avatars bumping into each other. And I find interesting is that when you go to real conferences, or even when you just go to church, you know, how many people greet and meet right in the doorway and have conversation right in the doorway, and people have a hard time getting out. Like, I don't know why we can't stand 10 feet this way or 10 feet. We have to greet and meet and have discussions in a doorway in buildings. But it was interesting because she, with our little avatars running around, people were still doing the same thing. They were, their little avatar, they'd meet somebody and they'd stand in the doorway, and your little avatar can't get through the door unless you hit this thing called ghost. And so as soon as you ghost yourself, you can get through everybody, get through a crowd. But it was really interesting. It's called Gather Town. Hopefully we don't have to use that again in the future. Maybe we'll be allowed to see each other. I'm not too confident about that. But anyway, my wife did a really good job. She's also the director of Christian Camping International for Canada. So she has the opportunity to reach out to over 200 camps across Canada. It is Christian. So the secular camps normally don't join. But, you know, she's, personally, that's really what's keeping us going, is Sharon's other job. And she's only doing it part-time. But she does it very, very well. My wife is, like my sisters say, I married smart. And I'm pretty shallow. I'm going, yeah, that was secondary to me. I married beauty. And so I wasn't attracted to her smartness when I first saw her. I was actually had my head turned a couple of times because of her. Well, she's a babe. Anyway, then I found out she was smart. So yay for Darryl. Yeah, so I want to thank you very much about all that you've done in giving, and I am going to ask that please don't stop. If there's a way for you to give weekly, monthly, lump sum, and I don't know, whatever you think you can, just to keep this ministry going. We want to keep afloat so that we could, you know, have summer camp, whatever that's going to look like, and still tell kids that God loves them and to show them the love of Christ through us. We still want to do that. We don't want to shut down. And if we can reach another 400 or 500 by day camp or 800 by overnight camp, we want to do that, and we need your help to do that. what's been happening with us lately. We went through Remembrance Day, and man, I love that day. I don't understand why that's not a stat holiday. Others, we give stat holidays for other reasons, and whatever reasons, I don't know, but Remembrance Day? Why isn't that one? Out of all, why isn't that one? It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I give my staff that day off if I can, and if I can't, I give it at another day off for that, because that's such an important day. You know, the men and women who have sacrificed themselves, the families that have sacrificed loved ones, so that I can sit here and do this with you under very little threat. We are so blessed. Our freedom doesn't come from government. You know, our freedom comes from God and His sacrifice on the cross, and the sacrifice of those who went before us to say, no, you don't get to do this, bad people. You don't get to take people's freedoms away. We need to remember that even in today's times, that our freedoms are very, very important. And we would react if our freedoms were taken away like that. Well, we would respond saying, no, no, no. But that's really not how the enemy works. The enemy works with desensitizing, whittling away, a little bit here, a little bit there, to the point where everybody goes, okay, concession, concession, concession. And then we look back and we're going, how did we get here? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? For some reason, in my own home, I can't have people over. In my own home. Loved ones, close family. They don't live here anymore. I can't have them here. And I find that a bit odd. And so we have to be careful that we are always vigilant, that our Charter of Rights and Freedoms is there for a reason. It's to protect us. It's not to protect the government. It's to protect us from the government decisions. So if you have certain people who get into government that could make some nasty decisions, and that Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Bill of Rights is for us. It's not, you know, this whole thing about separation of church and state. Please understand, that wasn't to keep the church out of the state. That was to protect the church from the state. And so that we have our religious freedoms and our freedom of speech. And we have to be aware that there are people in our governments who would like to take that away. And we have to stand vigilant and make sure that doesn't happen. But anyway, I digress. Back to Birch Bay. But again, this all connects to Birch Bay too, because we're a small business, and I'm still trying to figure out why is small business being sacrificed, but big business doesn't really have to do much. I'm curious about that, but we have to see how things unfold. And my Birch Bay and me and my family, we're in the hands of God. We'll be okay. He has never failed me, even when times were pretty low in the past for me, before I even came here, the way I was living. God always provided, and He's never failed me in anything. I don't get everything I want. I wouldn't give my children everything they wanted. It all depends if we're mature enough to handle it, or if it's right for us, or it's right for the purpose of God's plan for us. So don't always be disappointed if you don't get what you want. There could be a bigger picture of why you're not getting that. Anyway, this little small business called Birch Bay Ranch is trying to survive. We are still doing trail lessons. We're still open. It's just that we now, with the new restrictions, we have to have fewer people on property outdoors. Our indoor riding arena is big enough, and we can spread people because they're on horses. And we still do all the protocols that's been required. But we still do trail lessons. Trail rides is basically what it is. Depending on the weather. If it gets too cold, well, no one's having fun. We also do riding lessons still. So as I give you this video, we've actually postponed them. We hope to return very quickly once we're in a couple of weeks to see how this unfolds. But here, just so you know, it's just some things. We have that indoor riding arena which started was in 2011. Sharon and I had no idea what we were doing. We turned out we ended up building a really nice one. Um, Yay for us. It was and yet when it opened about 4 years later, it was all paid for. Sharon and I we're not quite fans of build it and they will come. That's a movie. That's risky. That's a movie. We're more the fans of try to get as much as you can. And I know with our board we try to get to about 70-80% of what we need to provide for whatever we're building. It takes longer that way, but at least that when the building's open, there's no payments. So that indoor riding arena, which was a $500,000 project years ago, when it opened, it was fully paid for. We don't have to go and ask people to help pay our debts. Sharon and I are not big on debt. Personally too, we don't operate ourselves that way. We don't operate the ranch that way. So fortunately, when this all hit in March and a little bit earlier, and when we were hurt drastically by the government's decisions, ranch was in no debt to anybody. So yay. Other camps not as fortunate, but God knows their situation. A couple of things about the indoor riding arena is that we've also dog groups book it, and they I don't know, once or twice a week. I'm not quite sure how often that is, but that's kind of neat. Here we thought it'd be for horses, but it's not just horses. We've had dog groups use it. We've had archery groups use it. We've motorcycle groups, which I thought is awesome. They come. It's a type of, I don't know how to describe it. It's not a motorcycle that you would have on the highway like what I have. It's more these motorcycles that you can do tricks with, motocross type concepts. And so this group comes once in a while, and they set up all their stuff at the indoor riding arena, which is a whole bunch of balancing, going over something, just learning just a whole bunch of obstacles where they learn how to control their bike at slow speeds. And it's not jumping like you would see at an exhibition. It's just people learning how to control their bikes in all kinds of situations. So, and that's kind of neat that that gets used. But so there's multiple uses when you got a building that size, of our indoor riding arena, and it's a heated arena if need to be. We don't normally heat it because you don't bring horses into a heated room. That was for everybody who knows what the emoji that I use the most. My lovely niece got me that cup. So other things that we're still doing right now, it's very, very small groups, is sleigh rides. And the sleigh ride also includes hot chocolate and a fire pit. And if that interests you, go on birchbayranch.com and look at their website. We also moved the archery indoors into our gym. So we got nets hanging, and then people can, do archery indoors, nice and comfortable in their socks. It's kind of nice. We had a whole bunch of Christmas banquets. We normally do a lot of banquets in December. The lodge is decorated. It's beautiful. It's very, very rustic country Christmas. It's really nice. And I think we had about 18 this year. Now we have none. So December was supposed to be a making month. It's not a revenue month now. We were relying that December would be great. We knew November would be a little bit slow, but owie. And but hey, the lodge is still decorated, and for very, very small groups, we can still do banquets and still keep to all the protocols that is required. But so we're still open. We just for small groups now until things change and we can get a few larger groups coming. We still can't do overnight stuff, I'm told, unless it's a small enough group and we give you like just 2 people per cabin. So, a good news that we did is my wife's been working really hard on a lot of these grants that have been out there, and we get denied for different reasons, some of the grants. But she worked really hard on this operational grant that was coming from, I like to say, some people like to say the government, I like to say the taxpayers. Government doesn't have any money. They just have our money, and they broker it to things that they think is right. But it's really taxpayers' money. And through the taxpayers, we were able to get a grant, an operational grant, to help us through a couple of more months. And that was wonderful. And the department of the government that Sharon worked with really, really hard. She obviously dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and that department of the government was very kind to us. Thank God that he was gracious and he moved things in place that we can have it. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much the update on, of how things are going here at the ranch. Horses are still doing fine. They're working not as much now because things are much slower and winter's set in, and we've never had a lot of business. That's why we try so hard through May to October to work long hours and to do so much volume to get us through the whole year. That's not there for us anymore, so that's why we need your help. The board of Birch Bay Ranch, great people, big hearts. Oh, they want to see this place go well. They are all connected to the ranch in some place in history, and up to modern day. And so they have such a passion for this place. And on that topic, that we are looking for a couple more board members. We've had a couple of vacancies for a while, and so I am putting this out that maybe if you are interested in being on the board of Birch Bay Ranch, it's not a position to take lightly. It really requires a commitment and a passion for this place. We prefer, like, I know that there's a lot of young people who are passionate for this place and they might want to say, yeah, I would like to do that. There is a skill level and a business mind that we need for that, as much as there's so many young people I know that I would love to have, because they're just good people. But there's just something, how do I put it? Got to bring something to the table that the ranch could benefit from. So we are looking for people who have a mind of business and number one, a heart for Christ. If you have a passion for the gospel to be preached, that's the number one thing. And have a little bit of business knowledge. I know Sharon is hoping that one of these 2 positions would be maybe an accountant. She wouldn't mind a little help on that, although she does very, very well. So the board that we have is an awesome team of people, very passionate, very caring, loves this place, tremendous history with this place. And so we are asking that if we can get a couple more people on it. Sorry, gentlemen, we are looking for a couple of ladies, but we're not closed to you. But we are hoping that we would have more ladies on the board. And if this interests anybody, I would ask that you email me at director@birchbayranch.com. Director@birchbayranch.com. I'd love to hear from you, and please pray about this. This isn't something that's to be taken lightly. This is a responsibility of a ministry that God has set up, and He's put this into our hands for its success and preaching the gospel. So we have one lady on the board now, a lovely lady, and be nice if we had a few more. So the guys are good too, good guys. So, but anyway, email me if it's something that you've prayed about and think about that you can help Birch Bay. Yeah, 2 more spots we'd like to have filled. So that's about it. On behalf of the board, thank you again for helping us out and being very generous in your prayers and your passion for us and your giving of your finances. Like I said in my very first video, I don't like being the guy to ask for money, but I'm being stretched. I don't like this. I like that we would survive on what comes through the gate. We are not connected to any organization. We're not connected to any denomination. We have outside funding by a few people who they care about us, and so they give, and really appreciate that. If you don't have a place to tithe in a church, hey, Birch Bay Ranch, we will not reject you. So think about that. Well, God bless you. This has been a long one, but I just enjoy chatting and telling people about this awesome place. And I hope that I got a granddaughter, and I'm hoping that in 8 years she'll get to go to camp. I want this place to be around so she can experience this awesome place. And maybe I'll still be director at that time. I don't know. Lord's will. Board's decision. Lord's will. Hey, God bless you. Thank you again for all your love and support of Birch Bay. Take care. We'll get through all this, people. God's not unaware. Remember that. God's not unaware of what's happening in the world, and even right down to you as an individual. He's not unaware of what's happening to you. Stay faithful to Him. He will always be faithful to you. In Jesus' name. Okay, bye-bye.